WMC Action News 5 Weekend starts now.
Thanks for joining us for WMC Action News 5 Weekend. It is Saturday, October 21st, and right now you're getting a live look from our High 5 camera. This is downtown. Beautiful sunrise there. I'm Ariana Poindexter, and our new weekend morning meteorologist Nick Gunter is live in our First Alert Weather Center tracking our forecast. Welcome, Nick, and good morning.
Thank you so much, Ariana. As we head throughout our day today, well, we're going to keep with the clouds, just like we're seeing this morning on that High 5 camera as we overlook Memphis in the Mid-South. Notice right now on First Alert Doppler 5, we're dry for the most part, but we are dealing with one little shower that's crossed out of Phillips County, Arkansas, heading toward Lee County, Arkansas, near Marianna as we wake up this morning. So you could see a little bit of a downpour out there, but for the most part, we're going to keep with just a 20% chance for a shower as we head out and about on this Saturday. Notice as we put this into motion, most of the shower activity is over in portions of Arkansas, but we're going to really ramp up those rain chances in our forecast as we make our way throughout our day tomorrow. So if you had to pick a weekend day to be outside, I'd pick today over tomorrow. So increasing clouds is what we're looking at in our weekend forecast. We're looking at mostly dry Saturday, but then that soggy Sunday is what we're looking at as we make our way toward our Sunday. So definitely keep the umbrellas handy. We'll take a full look at your First Alert forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Nick. Breaking news this morning, Memphis police are looking to find exactly where a person was shot overnight. This is the scene where the victim was found, a Kroger parking lot. This happened just before 11 last night in Fraser near Rangeline Road. They were taken to Regional 1 Medical Center in non-critical condition. Breaking news update, one person is in custody and another still on the run this morning after a shootout involving an armored truck on Summer Avenue. WMC Action News 5 Sasha Jones spoke to people who jumped into action when bullets started flying.
Crime scene tape wrapping around the region's bank on Summer Avenue. A police perimeter surrounding a car riddled with bullets on Berclair Road. And a full-out manhunt in a East Memphis neighborhood. That was the scene Friday afternoon after two people tried to rob an armored car in the parking lot of the bank.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Definitely not what I expected to come home to.
Andrew Caulfield was one of several neighbors, stunned to find out police were looking for the suspects off of St. Andrews Fairway in their East Memphis neighborhood near the Green Line.
He came over and told us that he had hopped the fence and gone through our backyard.
Neighbors sent us this photo of police jumping their back wall shortly before taking one of the suspects into custody. Back at the bank, witnesses said the attempted robbery happened quickly.
I heard gunshots, I saw someone shooting, I saw the car drive up.
After several rounds of gunfire, Beth Culver and her mom Cindy went into action, calling 911.
I am an EMT and I want to be sure that none of the employees here need my help.
Despite the chaos, no one was hurt, and this family is thankful to be alive.
I am so thankful to God for my safety, her safety, and that nobody else was injured. I mean, money's replaceable, lives are not.
Well, that was Sasha Jones reporting. Memphis police say this is an ongoing investigation and are still searching for the second suspect connected to this crime. If you have any information, you are urged to call police. Well, this isn't the first time that an incident like this has happened on Summer Avenue. Just last year, another armored truck was robbed behind the MLGW office. In that case, police say the robber attacked one of the guards after he left the building carrying a money bag. A guard opened fire, but the suspect was able to run off with cash and make it to a getaway car. Happening now, Memphis police are searching for 3 people wanted for stealing drugs from a Midtown Walgreens pharmacy. It happened early Thursday morning around 3 o'clock at the Union and South Watkins location. The men were last seen leaving the scene in a gray 2000 model Dodge Avenger. If you have any information on who these men are, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number right there on your screen, 901-528-CASH. The WMC Action News 5 investigators have discovered that a serial rapist who admitted to raping 4 women was a part of a backlog of hundreds of rape kits that sat untested for years here in Memphis. Tony C. was sentenced to 40 years in prison without parole this week. The 4 rapes happened between September 2000 and May 2001, but the rape kits for the case weren't tested until 2012. It's the reason why District Attorney Amy Wyrick says she's been leading a campaign to finish testing all backlogged evidence.
These cases are of the utmost importance to this office, and making sure that they, as victims, and all of us as a community, get the justice that is deserved, and that again, that these violent repeat offenders are removed from the streets.
We're told every rape kit should be tested by the end of 2018. Wyrick says many of the results point to rapists who have already been caught, but it's still important to connect repeat offenders to older cases. A Middle Tennessee county struggling to keep inmates from escaping. The latest jailbreak happened Thursday afternoon in Bedford County, south of Nashville. 3 men were able to climb through an air vent, then use a bed sheet to lower themselves down the building. One of those inmates has already been captured. The sheriff says it's another problem for a jail that already needs constant repairs.
Just a few days ago, we had 200 prisoners in there. Well, that's pretty packed for a jail that was built for 67, 68 prisoners originally.
Other inmates have escaped through that same air vent or slipped away through the workhouse. The sheriff says the county bought land, for a brand new jail, but it'll be a while before there's money to build it. Developing now, a warning this morning from the TBI. The deadly opioid fentanyl has now been found in cocaine, and they say it's a statewide problem. Our Kendall Downing has more on the dangers.
A grain of salt-sized fentanyl can overdose you.
Sounding the alarm, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation called a news conference in Nashville Friday, saying now evidence submissions of cocaine in Tennessee appear to be cut with the powerful opioid painkiller fentanyl. The samples were taken in the past few months. 1 came from Nashville, 2 from Knoxville.
What you might buy and use, thinking it's a good time, could cost you your life.
Investigators say the threat for fentanyl did exist with opioid users when fentanyl would be laced with pills or heroin. But since cocaine is such a recreational drug, there's now a threat for people who may use it infrequently.
This is not something to mess around with. It's not worth taking the risk.
Fentanyl can be 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. Numbers for fentanyl or its synthetic types cut with substances have continued to increase statewide. But investigators say this marks a new frontier for cocaine in Tennessee, showing fentanyl is now in the supply, meaning if you use cocaine in the state, there's a new danger present that wasn't there before.
If I had something on my shoulder that looked to be baby powder, and I went like this, I could very easily overdose and become horizontal that quick.
In Memphis, Kendall Downing, WMC Action News 5.
Fentanyl has long been found in other opioids, including heroin and even marijuana. However, as Kendall Downing told us, this is the first time it's been found in cocaine in Tennessee. Meanwhile, a North Memphis man pled guilty to conspiracy to sell more than 150 grams of heroin. 30-year-old Marco Billington was sentenced to 30 years in prison, according to the Shelby County DA's office. They say Billington, whose street name is Rico, was selling large amounts of heroin in February and March of 2016. Authorities also believe he was connected to some Memphis users who overdosed, including one who died a few years ago. More than 2 weeks after the death of 4 U.S. servicemen in Niger, there are still unanswered questions about what went wrong. It was the deadliest attack on U.S. troops since President Trump took office. Yet so far, much of the focus has been on Trump's conversations with Gold Star families.
16 days after 4 U.S. service members were killed in an ISIS-led ambush in Niger, it seems there are more questions than answers.
Do you feel the administration's been forthcoming up to this point about what happened there?
Of course not.
The Defense Department's conducting an initial review of the attack, and the FBI is now assisting Niger authorities on the ground. But Senator John McCain says he might not wait for the department to finish its own investigation.
Possibility of issuing subpoenas to the Pentagon to get information. Is that still on the table?
Depends on whether we get the witnesses or not.
The head of the U.S. military's meeting with Senator McCain on Capitol Hill today and says he's demanding answers as well.
And the loss of our troops is under investigation.
Among the most pressing questions, why the body of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson was not recovered until 48 hours after the attack.
The U.S. military does not leave its troops behind, and I would just ask that you not question the actions of the troops who were caught in the firefight.
Meanwhile, the White House fielding questions on why President Trump continues a public feud with a Democratic congresswoman over a conversation Trump had with a Gold Star widow.
It's still the bulk of the coverage on most every TV you turn on and most every newspaper that you open up today. And the president responded to those continued accusations and continued mischaracterizations of his comments.
Some lawmakers are frustrated. They see this incident as the president's lack of focus.
The second tragedy for these families is they're dragged through this horrible, embarrassing mess.
In Afghanistan, suicide bombings at 2 mosques killed dozens of people Friday. One blast happened at a Shiite mosque in Kabul. Authorities say at least 39 people were killed when the attacker detonated his vest inside the building. The other attacks targeted a Sunni mosque west of the capital. A local official says a bomber detonated his explosives during worship services. At least 20 people were killed in that blast. As the U.S. wraps up joint military exercises with South Korea, tensions continue to escalate as North Korea now threatens an, quote, unimaginable strike against the U.S. The North Korean government furious at those joint exercises taking place off the coast. The official news agency there even suggesting the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft could be a specific target. And back at home, big changes coming to a popular shortcut around the Memphis Cook Convention Center. Starting Tuesday, Winchester Avenue will be closed to through traffic between Front and Main. It's to prevent oversized vehicles from hitting the overhead trolley lines. Winchester will also become a one-way street between Main and 2nd Street. Also happening in downtown Memphis, a possible move for the Gibson Guitar Factory. The Daily News is reporting that the factory wants to leave its location downtown near the FedEx Forum. While it's unclear where the factory will go, the article says they will stay in Memphis. We reached out to Gibson's public relations contact who would not comment on the move. But if Gibson does decide to move it, it's going to join the Brooks Museum that is also looking for a new location. The museum stated they are interested in the downtown fire station. New and next on WMC Action News 5 Weekend, a potential ban now coming from the FAA that could affect everyone flying. See what they are proposing next. And have you waited to the last minute to find a Halloween costume? No worries. Next, we'll show you how you can make sure your own is not going to worry about the last minute shopping.
And we're looking at a warm Saturday in store, but a wet Sunday. I'll take a detailed look at the First Alert forecast coming up.
The city of Las Vegas and the whole country still trying to make sense of the deadliest mass shooting incident in modern U.S. history. The death toll stands now at 59 with 527 injured. NBC's Jay Gray is in Las Vegas with the latest.
City in grief, silenced and still reeling from unspeakable pain. 59 dead and more than 500 injured in the worst mass shooting in U.S. history.
This has been a resilient community who will not be defined by the sick, disgusting human being. I will never mention his name.
His name is Stephen Paddock, 64 years old, a wealthy real estate owner with no criminal history who left behind more questions than answers. Overnight, agents searched Paddock's hotel room for clues. Authorities say he had checked into the Mandalay Bay 3 days before the attack, bringing 23 firearms and hundreds of rounds of ammunition with him. As gunfire rained down from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, victims like Tom McIntosh were struck by the bullets.
I helped my wife over the wall, and I helped another lady over the wall, and then that's when I got shot. So.
A stranger helped to save his life. Today, they were reunited.
I appreciate it. And he was actively bleeding, so I adjusted the belt, got it up where it should be, tightened it down. We stopped the bleeding.
From the horror here, hundreds of acts of kindness, strangers saving strangers when the worst of humanity had just taken place. This morning, before leaving for Puerto Rico, President Trump called Paddock a sick and demented man and says the ongoing gun control debate does have a place in Washington.
And we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
The president is scheduled to travel to Las Vegas tomorrow and meet with victims, families, and first responders. Jay Gray, NBC News, Las Vegas.
An intersection in Las Vegas has become a makeshift memorial for the victims of the Las Vegas shootings. People are leaving balloons and flowers at the intersection of Reno Avenue and Las Vegas Boulevard. But they're not just leaving items, they're hugging one another. likely still stunned that something like this could happen. Many Mid-Southerners made it back home last night after they were in Vegas for work or vacation. Many family members were in tears as their loved ones made it home safely into their arms. Some passengers on the Frontier flight described it as a relief to be back. One woman was in Vegas for a weekend away to celebrate her first wedding anniversary. Those memories are now replaced by a night of horror for Lamisha Moore.
It's scary to know that we were that close to it because anything could have happened. I'm just happy to be home, just still praying for them. It's just scary.
Moore and her husband were on the Las Vegas Strip as shots rang out from the 32nd story of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Moore knows she's one of the lucky ones. So many could not escape that rapid gunfire. Memphis Police Director Michael Rawlings is sending his thoughts and prayers this morning, saying, quote, "We must be aware of what goes on in our community and not be afraid to reach out when help is needed. We must all remember, if you see something, say something. Your awareness and concern could possibly prevent a tragedy," end quote. About an hour ago, Calvary Episcopal Church in downtown Memphis tolled the church bell 60 times for the victims in Las Vegas, once for each person who died tragically on Sunday, including the perpetrator of the violence, Stephen Paddock. Calvary encourages all to pause for a moment of silence at that time and to offer a prayer for all those who died and their families. Well, the Clark County, Nevada commissioners who started a GoFundMe for Las Vegas victims, well, that link is on our website, WMCActionNews5.com, and within 24 hours, that fund has already generated up to $3 million with a goal of $3.5 million. We continue to follow this developing news. You can follow the latest on our website. Just go to WMCActionNews5.com. You can also download our mobile app for updates. It's free for Apple and Android devices. A child was killed when a bus crashed in Ashland, Mississippi early this morning. The bus crashed into another car outside Ashland Elementary around 8 this morning. 3 children were hurt in the crash, one of them killed, another taken to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. The other child's injuries are unknown, but the driver is expected to be okay. All of the children were students at Ashland Middle School. It's unknown whether anyone will be charged in this wreck. A man is in critical condition this afternoon after police said someone he knew shot him. We don't have all of the details right now, but we know the shooting happened around 6 this morning on Haynes Street in Orange Mound. No arrests have been made at this time, and this is an ongoing investigation. The man who Memphis police arrested after they say he shot and killed a 12-year-old is expected to go before a judge today. 18-year-old Katarius Williams is charged with aggravated assault, aggravated child abuse, and first-degree murder in perpetration of aggravated child abuse. 12-year-old Devin Johnson was sleeping at his home on Dana Drive in Hyde Park Saturday. Police say he was shot and killed while he slept in his bed. Of course, we'll be sure to let you know what happens in court later today. Well, a judge set a trial date for the driver in a Tennessee school bus crash that killed 6 elementary school students last year. Jonathan Walker faces 34 charges, including 6 counts of vehicular homicide in last November's crash in Chattanooga. Police said Walker was speeding before the crash. Walker's attorney said he swerved to avoid a collision with another car. A Hamilton County judge set Tuesday, February 27th as the date that trial begins. Walker was driving 37 elementary students home when the bus left the curvy road, hit a utility pole, overturned, hit a tree, collapsing the roof. Well, today the Memphis City Council is set to discuss the removal of Confederate statues. According to the commercial appeal, the council is scheduled to approve an ordinance that will set a path forward, possibly by authorizing Mayor Jim Strickland to take the statue down before getting the green light from the Tennessee Historical Commission.
We started off the morning with overcast sky, but I promised you this morning on WMC Action News 5 that we would see sunshine by this afternoon, and look at that. Looking out from our High 5 downtown camera, the clouds are starting to clear. Now, that's not for everyone. If you live in eastern Arkansas, you're likely still seeing some cloud cover. Let's show you that as satellite here. There are those clouds slowly starting to erode. So the farther east you are, the more sunshine you're seeing. But just give it a few more hours and all of us will have mostly sunny conditions here. So gradually decreasing clouds through this afternoon, eroding from east to west. A little bit warmer in the spots that are now seeing that sunshine. 82 in Memphis. We're at 80 in Forest City, 81 in Oxford, upper 70s also in Holly Springs. And it's going to be a warm day. Temperatures in the lower to mid 80s all the way through 5 o'clock. Warmest part of your day, I think between 3 and 5. I think we'll make it all the way up to around 84 degrees this afternoon. Pretty breezy out there. Southeast wind 10 to 15 miles per hour, helping to pump in some of that warmer air. Now, I'm not completely ruling out a stray shower in eastern Arkansas through around 3 or 4 o'clock, but overall, most of us will stay dry the rest of the day. And then overnight tonight, temperatures slightly cooler than what we saw last night with overnight lows in the mid 60s here across the Mid-South. Warming up today, but it doesn't stop. We continue to see temperatures going up this week. I'll tell you how warm it gets coming up in my First Alert forecasts.
President Trump is expected to spend the next 2 days visiting Americans in crisis. He's headed to Las Vegas tomorrow, but first today, Puerto Rico. Tracy Potts reports the U.S. effort to get food and water to hurricane victims is slow going, 10 days after that storm hit.
Today, President Trump gets a first-hand look at Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria.
The military, FEMA, they have done an incredible job in Puerto Rico.
He's praising U.S. aid amid a public Twitter feud with San Juan's mayor.
I am done being polite. I am mad as hell. We are dying here.
Mayor Cruz and others claim food and water aren't getting around the island fast enough.
Where is the Navy? Where is the Army? We need them right now.
With 95% of Puerto Rico still out of power and spotty cell phone service, the president and first lady fly in today to get an update on relief efforts from the governor and military leaders, and they'll meet with victims.
Everyone is desperate. Everyone wants water. Everyone wants something to eat.
Critics comparing the government's response here with Texas and Florida have put the Trump administration on defense.
Clearly, the situation here in Puerto Rico after the devastating hurricane is not satisfactory, but together we are getting there.
We hope that she will join with us.
The White House softening its tone toward San Juan's mayor.
I think she's come back a long way, and, I think it's now acknowledged what a great job we've done.
As President Trump today heads into his own political storm.
And Puerto Rican officials are telling us that this could take a really long time. They're hoping to have power to a quarter of their homes by the end of the month. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
Also, more developing news this noon out of Cuba, where dozens of U.S. diplomats fell ill due to a string of mysterious attacks. Last week, the number of victims was 21 Americans, and now there are 22, and that number could possibly rise. 60% of U.S. diplomats have been ordered to leave Cuba. A warning was also sent to American tourists to avoid Cuba, saying some of the attacks left people with substantial injuries. The health problems from the mysterious attack included hearing loss, dizziness, and nausea. Elvis Presley's childhood home will soon be up for sale. The home and land in Tupelo, known as Elvis Presley Heights, will be auctioned off on November 11th. The parcel includes more than 16 acres and a home built by Elvis's father. In addition to the home, Elvis's 1957 pink Cadillac and a jewel-encrusted jumpsuit will be auctioned off. You can check out pictures and a link to the auction on our website. Memphis wrestling legend Lance Russell has died. Coming up, we will show you how legendary he was and how he has a connection with us here at WMC Action News 5. And in consumer news, no, you are not the only one noticing that ATM fees are going up. See why after the break.
Temperatures will be running several degrees above average for the next few days. I'm going to tell you which day will be the warmest and when we'll have those fall-like temperatures again, coming up in just a few minutes.
Do you have a story tip? Call the WMC Action News 5 investigators at 866-518-9082.
Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Spencer Denton, and we are in the midst of a 10-day stretch of hot weather, but it's going to come to an end. Right now, we have a mix of sun and clouds. Beautiful shot from our Midtown High 5 camera looking down Union Avenue. A few of those what we call cumulus clouds, but these are basically fair weather cumulus clouds. Let's take a look and show you what's going on temperature-wise. Already up to 86 degrees, so already hitting the mid-80s in many locations from Harrisburg down to Oxford and then back toward Jackson, Tennessee. Now, as we go through this afternoon, temperatures topping out close to 90 degrees. Once again, that's about 8 to 10 degrees above average for this time of the year with a mix of sun and clouds, maybe a stray shower down to the south. But the good news is the cooler weather is on the way. In fact, it's just around the corner. We'll talk about how much it will cool off and what areas will be the coolest coming up in your first alert forecast.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Felicia Bolton filling in for Kim Clark. The aftermath of Hurricane Maria has devastated Puerto Rico. President Donald Trump will visit the island next Thursday to look at the damage. And now there are new concerns the storm could prompt a mass exodus from the island. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports from San Juan.
This morning, growing signs throughout Puerto Rico of another crisis. Already ravaged by the most powerful hurricane to hit the island in decades, it could soon face a huge migration. Puerto Ricans by the tens of thousands leaving what's left of their homes and coming to the U.S. mainland. The governor sounding the alarm.
Do you expect a mass exodus of Puerto Ricans to the U.S. mainland?
If conditions are inhospitable, if we don't have the resources to rebuild properly, then yes, and this is going to cause a problem for Puerto Rico, but of course it's going to cause a problem for the mainland as well.
All over the U.S. territory, these American citizens are struggling to survive. No running water, gas is scarce, and they could be without power for months. NBC's Lester Holt rode along with the National Guard, flying into San Juan with desperately needed supplies.
People talk about how bad it is, but you really don't see it until you see it.
Overnight, President Trump tweeting because of its broken infrastructure and massive debt, Puerto Rico is in deep trouble. Much of the island was destroyed, with billions of dollars owed to Wall Street and the banks, which sadly must be dealt with.
Of course, Puerto Rico's ballooning debt crisis has already forced many people to leave this island, about 500,000 people over the last decade. But now there are concerns that the widespread devastation from Hurricane Maria could speed up that process. And the governor is now urging the federal government to step in to help stop the bleeding. Back to you.
And we do have a breaking news update for you this afternoon. The 25-year-old man police say is behind the Tennessee church shooting could possibly face more charges. Emmanuel Sampson is charged with the shooting death of a single mother of two, along with shooting and injuring 6 other people, including the pastor of that church and his wife. The Justice Department and the FBI have opened a federal civil rights investigation to determine the motive behind this shooting. And last week, a jury found Zach Adams guilty of murdering Holly Bobo. Now there are still 2 other men charged in the death of that 20-year-old West Tennessee nursing student. Zach Adams was sentenced to life in prison on Saturday. He was found guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated rape, and aggravated kidnapping. His attorney says they will not settle for this verdict.
Well, of course, we're thinking about an appeal, and I think that'll be long and slow. You know, appeal processes are never quick.
Adams's brother Dylan and Jason Autry also face charges of kidnapping, rape, and murder. Autry testified against Zach Adams last week for a lesser punishment. Autry's lawyer hinted that a deal has been reached with prosecutors, so there is no need for a trial. A trial date has not been set for Dylan Adams. WMC Action News 5 is committed to bring you more updates as soon as they happen in this case. And check out this video from Memphis police. Do you recognize this man right here? Investigators say he robbed the Walgreens on Berry Hill Road near Germantown Parkway. Officers say the man came inside, pointed a handgun at the clerk, and demanded money. Police are hoping someone might recognize this man because of his walk. Since he appears to be pigeon-toed, call or text Crime Stoppers. That number is 901-528-CASH. And for the second time in 2 weeks, car windows in Germantown were smashed in while the owners were away. Neighbors believe it could be kids simply up to no good, but that doesn't ease their frustrations after finding a brick inside of their vehicles. One of the victims was working in his garage early last Thursday morning when he heard something that made him stop.
I hear a large smash and my truck alarm goes off and I come out the
side door over there, and my windshield was broken.
He has stepped up his home security by adding motion sensor lights to spook anyone who might want to try it again. Police say nothing was taken out of any of those vehicles, and they are still investigating whether these crimes are connected. And we have been looking for answers after a controversial Shelby County Sheriff's Office Facebook post yesterday. We could learn more details today about the employee who has been relieved of duty at the Sheriff's Office. The post has been removed from the page, but those who saw the post call it insensitive and inappropriate. The post specifically pointing out 2 suspects being arrested recently who are from Cuba. Sheriff Bill Odom has apologized for the comments there. New details: the United States Supreme Court is giving the state of Mississippi more time to respond to a lawsuit challenging the Confederate battle symbol on the state flag. The court announced that attorneys for Governor Phil Bryant now have until October 18th to respond. The original deadline was set for this Thursday. Mississippi is the last state flag featuring that Confederate symbol. And the number of West Nile cases in Mississippi is growing. With 3 new cases, there is now a total of 54 since 2017 began. And this is up from a total of 43 from 2016. There have been 2 West Nile-related deaths this year. We are still in peak season for the West Nile virus, so health experts warn anyone going outside to take extra precautions. The U.S. has dismissed a statement by North Korea accusing Washington of declaring war on the country, calling the idea, quote, absurd. The White House also warned the leader of North Korea to stop advocating and saying he's going to shoot down U.S. bombers. NBC's Bill Neely reports.
A new North Korean propaganda video, a computer simulation of U.S. warplanes being destroyed, an aircraft carrier on fire, the crude illustration of a threat from North Korea's foreign minister. Since the U.S. declared war on our country, he said, we have the right to shoot down its bombers even when they're outside our airspace. U.S. B-1 bombers flew unexpectedly close to North Korea this past weekend in a show of force, just as President Trump tweeted that the North Korean leadership won't be around much longer. But the White House denies any of this means war.
We've not declared war on North Korea, and frankly, the suggestion of that is absurd.
And overnight, the American Defense Secretary in Asia trying to calm nerves.
That is our goal, to solve this diplomatically, and I believe that President Trump has been very clear on this issue.
Rocket Man. But the rhetoric, the personal threats and insults has the world worried at the United Nations.
Fiery talk can lead to fatal misunderstandings.
In China, which says this is getting dangerous, no one would win a war. And in South Korea, which claims this morning North Korea is moving warplanes to new positions. The tripwires on the path to possible war are growing as missiles, warplanes, and the risks of miscalculation rise. Now, I should say North Korea has accused the US of declaring war at least 3 times before, but Kim Jong-un clearly now sees this dispute as personal, and history certainly shows wars can start from small sparks. Bill Neely, NBC News, London.
And back here on the U.S. soil, construction of prototypes for President Donald Trump's controversial border wall could begin sometime this week. Border Patrol agents in San Diego were seen patrolling the building site yesterday. Police also set up temporary parking signs and barriers near the site to designate so-called free speech zones. 6 construction companies are competing for the contract, and they will be building the prototypes. The feds have not yet confirmed a date for the groundbreaking, but parking will be prohibited around the clock today through November 10th. FEMA has already started to hire, and they're looking to fill many more positions to assist with Hurricane Harvey's widespread devastation. Right now, the agency said it needs workers to assist with people from Corpus Christi all the way to Louisiana. Pay ranges from $13 to $40 an hour, and the work could last for more than a year. FEMA says it needs all types of skills, including communication, engineering, and legal. Officials say keep checking their website because new types of positions will be added. Back here in the Mid-South, a charity that provides services including food to families at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is in need of help. The food pantry is running critically low at the Ronald McDonald House of Charities right here in Memphis. Some of the items needed are listed on your screen, so take a very good look. For a complete list and how to donate, just go online to our website. That's WMCActionNews5.com. And some happy news. NBC's hit drama This Is Us returns for its new season tonight. Last season ended with a couple of cliffhangers, including the heartbreaking separation of the series' central couple, Jack and Rebecca. And tonight's premiere, you can expect another major clue about Jack's eventual passing.
I can tell you that the first episode, the opening episode, will hit you right in the gut. We pick up just after Jack has left the house. And what happens when a couple that has said some very hurtful things to one another in an argument, how they hopefully find their way back to repair.
The season premiere of This Is Us airs tonight at 8 o'clock, right after The Voice.
You're watching WMC Action News 5 at noon.
And coming up next, while the gym may be considered a healthy place, there are also many harmful germs you are exposed to. Coming up, see some steps you can take to better your workout. And are you looking for ways to give veggies a better taste? I know I am. We have the tricks to make them tastier and even healthier. That's right after this break.
Also, we have a cold front on the way to the Mid-South. That is going to bring us some relief. I'll show you which areas will be the coolest coming up. Stay with us.
Do you have a story tip? Call the WMC Action News 5 investigators at 866-518-9082.
President Trump is in Las Vegas this noon. This is a live picture of Air Force One that has landed there at the airport in Las Vegas. The presidential motorcade moved out just a few moments ago. We watched it as they loaded up and headed out towards Las Vegas proper, towards the Strip, where we believe Trump will speak with meet with first responders to the mass shooting that happened there late Sunday night, possibly even talk to survivors as well. And this is all happening as we're getting a much closer look inside the investigation into the killing spree there. New details about the suspect, a look inside his hotel room, and dramatic images from police body cameras as those shots rang out. Jay Gray now with the latest.
The President and First Lady leave Washington this morning, traveling to Las Vegas for the first time since the attack.
Well, it's a very sad thing. We're going to pay our respects and to see the police, who have done really a fantastic job in a very short time. And yeah, they're learning a lot more. Hey, you guys, get down!
This video from police body cameras shows the frantic search to find the gunman and the rush to move people out of the firestorm raining down from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino. The first images from inside Stephen Paddock's hotel room are chilling. Just inside the blown-out door, a high-powered sniper rifle, one of 23 weapons scattered throughout the suite. Photos obtained by the Daily Mail show chairs filled with guns, spent ammo, and assault rifles scattered on the floor alongside Paddock's body. Officers say he turned one of the weapons on himself as they rushed in. Investigators have also uncovered multiple video cameras.
There were 2 cameras located in the hallway so that the suspect could watch as law enforcement or security approached his room. And there was another camera placed inside the hotel room door peephole so that he could see down the hallway.
Agents also met Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, at the Los Angeles airport. She returned to the U.S. from the Philippines overnight.
The investigation with her is ongoing. Currently, she's a person of interest.
Interest and information that's growing as investigators continue to search for a motive in the killing spree. Jay Gray, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Sonny Melton, a registered nurse from Tennessee, was among those killed. His wife is coming forward for the first time about this tragedy. 29-year-old Sonny was out the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Vegas with his wife, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of their marriage. Sonny worked at the emergency room in the ICU at Henry County Hospital. Heather said her husband saved her life while gunfire was hitting the crowd.
I felt him get shot in the back.
People were yelling at me to get down, and I kept feeling the shots all around me. Finally, the shot stopped, and he started bleeding from his mouth.
Melton's story is just one of hundreds of stories of tragedy coming out of Las Vegas. Heather says she's received several messages from patients her husband cared for at the hospital. Sonny Melton's father released a heartbreaking and powerful statement. He said, quote, "In my 62 years, I've been about 22,623 sunrises in my life. As of this past Sunday morning, I had never really experienced one that I couldn't find at least some good in. And I had never, ever hated anyone. And I mean that, not anyone." Well, as of 12:57 a.m. Monday morning, October 1st, 2017, I am now well acquainted with both horrible things, a hated day and a hated person, end quote. The letter goes on to describe Sonny's heroic actions and thanks the random strangers who stopped to help Sonny and his wife, Heather, get to the hospital in the chaos. And we're following this story around the clock on our website. That's where you can see news conferences, video, and more. Just go to WMCActionNews5.com. You can also download our free mobile app.
Well, it's another warm day out there across the Mid-South as temperatures already hitting 80 degrees right now. Take a look at the forecast for the rest of the day. Still think we hit the low to mid 80s, and we'll see a mix of sun and clouds, but a mostly sunny sky for many of you. By 7 o'clock, we cool down to 77 and dropping it into the low 70s later this evening. Now, this weekend still looks fantastic, although we could see a small chance of a shower. It's a very small chance. Highs will be in the mid to upper 80s, so it will be hot out there. And again, the chance of downpours is pretty slight. But we do continue to watch, and this isn't Irma, but this is going to be what potentially could become Nate. And we'll be watching it as it treks toward the Gulf Coast. I'll have more on that track coming up in just a minute.
Breaking news this noon, the Memphis Fire Department still investigating the church fire that took place at First Congo in Cooper Young. This is new video in our newsroom. Take a look. Investigators are saying this man you see on your screen is a person of interest in connection to that fire that happened last month on September 17th. The person you see walking southbound on Cooper Street near Walker Avenue minutes before the fire started. Anyone with information regarding this incident is asked to call Crime Stoppers. That is at area code 901-528-CASH. Also breaking now, Memphis police on the scene where a man was shot. This happened around 6 in the morning in the 3100 block of Hickory Road. The victim that was shot showed up at St. Francis Hospital and was airlifted to Regional 1. That victim is in critical condition, and police do not have any suspects at this time. MPD is on the scene of a shooting that may have occurred at 3155 Hickory Hill Road. Memphis police are investigating the killing of a group home worker. Investigators say just after midnight, someone shot and killed a man outside the group home on Greendale near Steel Street. We spoke with another worker who said the victim was married and had children, and that worker was not from Memphis. No word on the gunman this afternoon. An update to breaking news this noon. Memphis police and Memphis fire investigators are looking into a shooting and fire at a Hickory Hill home. Police say this all happened on Meadow Valley Drive near Riverdale Road. MPD responded to a shooting call shortly before 3 this morning and found a man who'd been shot several times. Shortly after the victim was being taken to the hospital, fire broke out nearby. Investigators are not sure whether the two scenes are connected. No condition or suspect information has been given at this time. Memphis police are looking for a missing 15-year-old girl. Take a look. This is Kaylin Lewis. She was last seen on Deerland Street near West Rains Road. Police say Lewis didn't return home from school. She was last seen wearing a black T-shirt and blue jeans. If you've seen her, please call police.